this was some headlines this morning. There was some correct reporting and some incorrect reporting about what happened. Essentially, the UFA tender was hit on Aaron Rodgers by the Pittsburgh Steelers. One, this was not a surprise to Rodgers and his representation, to my understanding. They knew this was coming. This is not used very often at all. I think it was used on J.K. Dobbins a couple of years ago before he went to Denver. If you're hit with it, it doesn't give you like the Steelers' right to match any contract. That is not correct. What this essentially does, and I've said this on these streams before, the compensatory pick window closed on Monday. That means if any player is signed or departs your team, they're not part of the compensatory pick formula. That's just not included. And teams use that formula quite a bit to figure out how many picks they're going to get in the next draft. That's why I told you players like Odell Beckham Jr. potentially going back to the Giants, which I think is very likely possibly happening. Those things won't happen until after Monday because you don't want those signings to mess with your formula. What the Steelers are doing with hitting Aaron Rodgers with this UFA tag is that they're giving themselves some protection. If he does sign somewhere else, that is going to be a part now of the compensatory pick formula for the Steelers in the 2027 draft. If they didn't do this, and right now he just signed elsewhere with another team, well, that wouldn't become part of the equation at all for the Steelers in terms of their compensatory pick formula. So they wanted to give themselves protection. I think why we should be talking about this is this. They use this UFA tender, and what does it show us? It shows us they're not 100% sure that Aaron Rodgers is returning to the Pittsburgh Steelers. If they were 100%, you wouldn't take your time to do this, which is in essence a formality, but you get what I'm saying. Do I still think it's most likely he goes back to the Steelers? Yes. Do I still think that's most likely the only place he's going to play in 2026? Yes. But I think using this does show us they're not 100% sure. They have been in constant communication with him. Mike McCarthy's been in constant communication with him. So I do think there's a very good chance. It just supplies them some protection if something else happens, like he signs elsewhere. Now, that can only happen until July 22nd. Up until July 22nd, Aaron Rodgers can sign with anybody he wants. He is technically still a free agent right now. And this doesn't change that. But after July 22nd, he can only sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers between July 22nd and essentially week 10. We know week 10 is when things kind of change in the regular season. Now, he could sign back with the Steelers and ask to be traded somewhere else if there's a quarterback injury or something and there's a place he'd like to play. It doesn't change his movement around the NFL, but at the same time, after July 22nd, really, formally, the only place he can sign is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, this also does say that his salary would be 110% of what it was a season ago, which would bump him up to $15.5 million for the 2026 season. As I said on here a bunch, his contract doesn't play a part in what's going on here at all as he takes his time and figuring out what he wants to do. They did draft Drew Aller. There is already Will Howard there, who they really, really like. I think if Aaron Rodgers comes back, we'll see maybe some movement with Mason Rudolph, and we'll see those two guys continue to battle it out underneath one of the greatest of all time.